Hi, I'm Bill Lampton, the host of the Biz Communication Show. This is the initial version. You are going to get some fantastic information from my guest. I know because I have followed his career closely. Even though his is a young career, it is a highly productive. His name is Dusty Porter. Dusty lives and works in Gainesville, Georgia, which happens to be my base of operation as well. Dusty and I met 3 or 4 years ago when I was exercising at the YMCA. He was on the staff there. We happened to talk one day and found out we had many interests in common. At that time, I heard from Dusty and he told me in a very modest way that he had something like 71,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel, which pretty well knocked me off my feet. Now, 3 or 4 years later, he's got 153,000. So he's doing plenty of things right with YouTube. Dusty, welcome to the Biz Communication Show.
Bill, I am just absolutely ecstatic to be here with you today. I'm so excited to be chatting about YouTube, technology, and whenever you and I have a conversation, it seems that not only do I learn something new, but I always leave the conversation thinking, man, I wish I would have told him more. I have some more stuff that I want to share with him. So thank you so much for having me on your show, and I can't wait to see where the show goes in the future.
Delighted. Now, what I would like to ask you first is, how did you develop an interest in technology? Is this something that at 6 or 7 years old, when other people were out maybe playing softball or something, you were one who stayed home and dealt with gadgets and tried to learn what was going on? And then when the internet came along, you all of a sudden were in technology heaven?
You know, that's a funny question. And when you sent that via email for the show layout, I began to think about, where did my love for technology begin? And I think the one thing that really helped me as a younger kid was that my parents never stifled my enthusiasm. And I was very into sports. I still am. I love sports, all sports, as a matter of fact. And I wasn't one of those people who was cooped up in front of a computer screen for the majority of my childhood. But for the time that I spent, I was always fascinated with computers. I was always fascinated with gadgets. I was always fascinated in the newest and the latest and the greatest. And so when I began to realize that I had that passion, I wanted a way to express that. And it wasn't even YouTube, to be honest with you. And when we talk about my YouTube channel, I'll get into that. But technology has always fascinated me, Bill. And you know how fast technology changes and just how ahead of the curve you have to be to even stay, I guess you would say, in touch with what's coming out. So I love getting on YouTube and watching videos of the latest and greatest. And whenever a new piece of software comes out, I want to check it out. Whenever a new app is downloadable on the iPhone, I want to check it out. So for me, technology has been a gateway to help me find what I'm good at and to lead me to where I am now and to where it's my full-time career.
So it was just very much a natural fit for you with your interest and with your aptitudes.
Absolutely. Just intrigued, I guess would be the best word to describe it. Just so intrigued with the latest and greatest, and not necessarily even the gadgets, the flashy gadgets, but the applications. And I would want to know how something worked, how this application on the iPhone, how are they coding this? And I'm not a coder myself, but being able to figure that kind of thing out and having what I like to call YouTube University at your disposal at all times. The amount of free content on YouTube is just absolutely astounding. Being able to go on there and to learn anything and everything. And for me personally, Bill, a little side note, as I've just recently, a couple of years ago, had my first child, being able to go on YouTube and to go ahead and Google how to put together a crib, how to install a car seat, those things have really helped me out, knowing that I'm really not that handy of a person with my hands. And going on YouTube has really helped me and really drove my passion, I guess you would say, to create better content.
To me, that's one of the most marvelous aspects of YouTube is those two words that you just gave, how to. If you want to know how to do almost anything, whether it's mechanical, electrical, or whatever. Somebody on there, and usually several people, have posted instructional videos, and most of the time they're free. Now, how much better than that can you get?
You cannot get, there's very few things in life that are better than free. I love that word.
It's everybody's favorite word.
Yeah.
Out of all the social media, where does YouTube rank in popularity and in usefulness for business people? I know Facebook is very popular. I know LinkedIn. I know Twitter is very popular. In your judgment, I would assume you must give a very high ranking to YouTube, because that's where you have dedicated the great majority of your technical expertise and time.
I do. And as far as ranking it up with the behemoths of social media like Facebook, like Twitter and LinkedIn and whatnot, as far as numbers go, and I can spit some stats out to you. They may be some old stats, but they are stats. You know, there are millions worth of minutes of video uploaded to YouTube within an hour. I mean, just billions of minutes worth of content every single day. And it just continues to archive all of that content. The reason why I personally rank YouTube at the top of the list is because for me and what I do, I have gotten more bang for my buck when it comes to video, online video, as opposed to, say, small form text content, which is what Facebook and Twitter are, where, Facebook is trying to get in the video space now with live video being, starting to pay the creators like YouTube does. So they're trying to get in that game. But with YouTube, the amount of interaction you get is just amazing. And the way I look at it is like this. I have an analogy that I just recently kind of set on. I use each one of my videos on my YouTube channel as a business card. And when I upload something to YouTube, whether it be a 2-minute tutorial or a 20-minute tutorial, not only is that going to get my name out there and gain me more subscribers and more viewers, but it's going to be a potential resume for clients and companies who can connect and contact with me. And what I found is people will watch your videos, and sometimes it may not even be in relation to the topic of the video, but they will connect with you, and a freelancer like myself can land jobs off of videos, and they're just like a business card, Bill. It's like a business card that's always working for you, and you don't have to hand them out. You don't have to go to Vistaprint and pay them a bunch of money to send them to your house. You just create this video, and for eternity, if you're creating evergreen content, which is content that will last forever, you're really creating business cards that will last you a lifetime.
Yes, you are. And it's rather amazing when you will find out how many people have watched a video versus if you had written an article on that topic. And I write articles. I believe in them. I believe in all sorts of communication with our audiences and our potential audiences. But if you write an article, you might be very pleased if 500 to 1,000 people read it. I remember the first video I posted that had any degree of popularity at all. I knew that stage fright was a major concern for people at all levels, especially people trying to make a headway in business. So the first video that I produced on stage fright had 72,000 viewers in just a year or two. Now, what would it take for me to get 72,000 readers of an article? I don't think that has happened with any of my articles. Now, you mentioned something that I want to pursue. You talked about Facebook, getting into Facebook Live, and I will admit that when Facebook Live came out, some of my friends, Jeff Herring and Mike Stewart, promoted that. They gave instructions on it. So I've probably done maybe 15 Facebook Live videos. My question to you is, when they go onto YouTube, they are not in the full screen format. So my question is, when someone goes to YouTube and they are checking which videos they want to watch, how much difference would it make that one is not in full screen format? Would they say, well, maybe the content's good. I like the title. I'll watch it. In your judgment, what kind of difference does, say, a smaller screen make in as far as attracting viewers or repelling them?
Yeah, I think going forward, Facebook is going to revisit that. I think that that's going to be fixed. I don't think it would deter viewers. There are other things that would deter viewers from consuming content and that I have found. I've actually done some pretty extensive research. I work with a company called TubeBuddy, which is a tool that I use to improve my YouTube, I guess you would say, workflow. And so with that being said, there are things such as audio quality that will absolutely drive people away from your content. If your audio is bad, Bill, people are not going to watch what you're creating. It doesn't matter if you look crystal clear and it looks like it's great content. If they cannot understand or hear you, they are not going to consume your content.
Are small things such as a dog barking, or construction going on outside, our doors slamming, our phones ringing, all those things it's too distracting. It doesn't look professional.
It doesn't, and there's definitely a good mix I found. You wanna kind of balance that of, you don't want it to be overproduced, but you want it to be quality enough to where when you go back and watch it, you're proud of it. You know, that's what I like to tell. I work with some clients now and they create stuff, and I ask them, I said, well, are you proud of this when they go back and we're watching it together? And if, you know, most of the time they'll say, no, I'm really not. And we can go back and we can pinpoint some areas of where they can improve their video. And when you think of online video, the first barrier to get through is doing what you and I are doing now. That's being able to be comfortable enough to get in front of a webcam, to get in front of a camera, and to let people see you, let people hear your voice. That barrier is a huge barrier to entry when it comes to video, because people are always going to say, I hate the sound of my voice. I don't like the way I look on camera. But you know, as a communication guy, as someone who talks about stage fright and all of those things, all of those elements can be a really big part of you creating great content. But back to the video actual player size, I really think that is going to have no effect of whether someone watches it on YouTube or Facebook. And I know that may blow some people's mind, but there are just so many other things that people as consumers are worried about or thinking about when they're going to consume content. I really don't think whether or not they can go full screen or not is going to be something that deters them from watching a video.
Well, that's assuring then to me and to other people who are doing Facebook Live to know that that is not a big barrier. I've watched some of your instructional videos, not all 631 of them, but I have watched those. It's very clear to me that you identify what people want to know. Maybe this comes out of what people ask you, but you identify what people want to know. You try to get that across to them with your videos, give them the answers, give them the directions they need in a very brief, simple, and clear format. Am I right on that?
You're absolutely right. And it started with a video that I made that I had to send to someone who wanted to learn how to use a piece of software. I wasn't even going to start on YouTube, Bill, to be honest with you. And when I put that video out there, a couple of years later, YouTube sent me an email when they started the partner program, which is the program now where they pay you through their AdSense program. And they sent me an email and said, hey, your video is doing better than 95% of the content on our site. Now, this was way back then. And they said, would you like to be a part of our YouTube partner program? So I'm thinking, well, what is this? And I got back on and I figured out my login credentials after I had to go and figure out what my password was. And when I logged into my YouTube channel, I saw that my video had over 180,000 views. And it just blew me away at the time, thinking, you're telling me over 170 something thousand people have watched this video? So then is when kind of a light bulb went off and I'm like, okay, there's something to this. And so now with each one of my videos, they are very much how-to based. They're very much tutorial based. And with every one of my videos now, I start with one thing, and that's a question. And that question usually is a problem that I want to solve by the end of my video. So when I start a how-to video, I want to make sure that at the end of it, if that viewer who came and clicked on my video, they're giving me that time out of their day, that when they reach the end, the conclusion of my video, they are able to undoubtedly do the task they came there to do.
This is not a plug, but it is a testimonial. As I said, I've watched several of those videos. And then I went to, immediately after watching them, I took notes. I went to my YouTube channel. I followed your instructions, and guess what? They worked.
Hey, that's what I love to hear. It's that kind of thing that I want. I really want, Zig Ziglar. My dad was a big Zig Ziglar fan back when he was alive, and now his son does a great podcast. But I don't remember the exact quote that he had said, but basically it was something along the lines of, if you give people what they want, you will in turn get what you want.
That's exactly right. I knew Zig. I met him when I was active in the National Speakers Association, and he was too. I'll always remember the day I met him. I walked up to him and I said, "Hello, Zig. I'm from Mississippi also." And he said, "You just bragging."
But it is true though. When you help other people out, they don't even know they're doing it, but they will end up sharing your video. They will end up liking your video. They will end up subscribing to your YouTube channel. And I do a podcast as well, Bill, called YouTube Creators Hub, where every Wednesday I release an episode, and you were on that show. And one of our most popular episodes was the one that you and I did back in the early stages of that podcast. But basically, I interview YouTube creators in hopes of bringing out value for new YouTube creators who are wanting to start. The way my slogan is, I want to help you if you're looking to start, grow, or monetize your YouTube channel. And that's kind of where I'm at now, is that, like I told you at the beginning of this interview, with every one of my videos and my YouTube channel now being a business card for what I'm doing now, that's how I started doing voiceover work. That's how I started doing wedding videography. It's all stemming from my YouTube channel, and it has nothing to do with voiceover or wedding videography. It's just people saw the talents and skills that I had in my videos as a business card, and they connected with me, and then it just went from there.
One of the things that I've said in other interviews with colleagues and friends and professionals like you is that I know that when I started my business in 1997, we relied very largely on print for advertising and for representing ourselves. And then one day, Mike Stewart, who for many years now has been my guru, Mike said, "Hey, you're a speaker, but you don't have any sound on your website." Can you imagine, Mike said, a writer with no writing samples on their website? So he got me into audio. And then it wasn't but a few years after that, he said, "Okay, we've moved from audio to video." Right. You and I know, Dusty, what an incredible impact, how widespread video is, how deeply immersed we are in it. And the great thing about video is that it's gotten much simpler to produce, it's gotten higher quality, and it's gotten more cost effective. That's a pretty good combination.
It's a great combination. And as I mentioned earlier, cost is never an issue when it comes to getting into video and audio now. People tell me, well, I don't have the amount of money it's going to take to get started on YouTube, to get, a channel up and running. That is so far from the truth, Bill, because you can get a webcam, which is what I'm on right now. People who are watching this can see me in 1080p. It's a Logitech webcam for literally 50 or 60 bucks on Amazon when they run a special, a Blue Yeti microphone, which is what you're utilizing right now. Everything you need to get up and running on YouTube can be done and had with 150 bucks, maybe even around 100 bucks, depending on who and where you're shopping at.
What a change from 15 to 20 years ago, where 15 to 20 years ago, first of all, you couldn't have done it on your own. And secondly, for a 5 to 7 minute video, you may be paying $5,000 to $10,000.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The barrier to entry is almost gone when it comes to the online video world.
Couple of quick closing questions. First of all, you, of course, have done a magnificent job of gaining an audience and even monetizing what you do. Give me a brief answer to this, please. Is monetizing your video, my video, anybody else's, Is that only for people who are going to produce hundreds of videos as you have done, or can you do that with a more moderate number?
I am actually very passionate about this topic, and this is probably in the whole realm of YouTube where the most questions come into play. The monetization side of your YouTube channel is going to be done in a number of ways, Bill. It's not only going to be done through the Google AdSense Partner Program, and maybe one day you and I can have a whole nother interview just on monetizing your YouTube channel. But briefly, just want to give a brief answer because I don't want to run long on this. If you are a creator and you have what I call a rabid fan base, a community of whether it's even a couple hundred or a few thousand. Although I have 153,000 subscribers, Bill, only very few of those watch my new videos. They are subscribing when they hit that subscribe button to let me know, hey, I appreciate this video that I watched, so I want to receive updates when you create new content. Not necessarily that they want to, watch all of my videos. So when it comes to monetization, you have to understand that I know I have clients and people that I've worked with that only have 10, 15, 20,000 subscribers, uploaded, 100 videos that are making a full-time living. Some of them even a six-figure income just off their YouTube channel. Now, it's not just the AdSense program. They're creating ebooks. They're utilizing the affiliate marketing networks such as Amazon. They are creating sponsored videos with companies who are wanting to get in front of these actionable people that are consuming this content. You think of it this way. We just got done with the Super Bowl, and people are paying millions of dollars for a 30-second ad spot. Well, if I'm a company, why not go ahead and talk to YouTube, who already know the demographics of people watching videos? They can say, hey, the demographics of this content creator are young ladies between the ages of 23 and 35, and they're interested in crocheting or they're interested in crafts. You can talk to Michael's craft store and say, hey, for pennies on the dollar, you can advertise in front of the exact target audience you are trying to sell to. And so with that being said, the advertisers are getting more bang for their dollar, and the creators are actually getting compensated for the amount of work they're putting in to produce this content.
Well, not only are you and I going to talk about that in a future interview, and I hope, Dusty, that you will agree to be on the Biz
Anytime.
Communication Show at least quarterly, because you have
Anytime.
great information. One final question before I get your contact information. One final question. What are 2 or 3 very quick tips that you would give to YouTube users?
Yes, the first one is start. You got to start somewhere. It's easier to improve upon something than it is to start. So get out there, and if you're watching this today and you're thinking about getting on YouTube, you're watching Bill and I, literally start. The second would be this: be yourself, be transparent, and when you start your YouTube channel, don't try to be something or somebody that you're not. You don't want to have to go back and change that at a later date. And number 3, brand your YouTube channel as yourself. So what I mean by that is that when you create your little channel picture, profile picture, and your banner, you need to have yourself or your face or whatever your name of your channel is. It needs to be plastered all over the place. You need to brand and stick with that brand. Make it streamlined. Your thumbnails need to have your branding on them. Your profile image needs to have your branding on them. And then lastly, please make sure that you have a way to capture email addresses. And you may not want to do YouTube as a business yet, but you want another way to capture people who are consuming your content. YouTube may not always be here. So don't count on a platform that you have no control over to make sure that you retain your audience. So try to find a way to capture those email addresses. And again, Bill, we could do a whole episode on just that one topic.
Dusty, this has been fascinating, informative, and fun as well. I know the listeners will want to join me in wishing you a good birthday, which happened last week. You reached that big 30.
Milestone 30. I tell you what, we went to a prom at my church, and then the next day my wife threw me a surprise party at the skating rink, which was awesome. Throwback to my childhood. So had a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for wishing me a happy birthday.
Thank you so much for being our first guest on the Biz Communication Show. You've gotten us off to a great start with wonderful information. I'm sure, Dusty, that people who have heard our discussion will want your contact information. So tell us, please, the preferred ways to get in touch with you.
Yes, anyone can feel free to email me at technologyguru77@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Tech Guru, and you can find me on Twitter as well at YT Creators Hub. And the only thing I really want to tell you guys, if you're interested in YouTube, it's not because it's my show, but really, if you would, go check out the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. It's on iTunes, it's on the Google Play Store, it's on Stitcher Radio. You can go back and listen to that interview that Bill and I did, and then listen to the other ones. And I promise you, by the time you get done listening to a few episodes, you will be way further along than you are now in your YouTube journey.
Dusty, thanks again. We will be hosting you in the future. Meanwhile, you can be certain that I'm one who's going to be talking with you to learn more about YouTube, because it is absolutely fascinating and has great potential. It's very user-friendly, and especially when we have experts like you telling us how to do it. Thank you, Dusty Porter.
Thank you, Bill, for having me on the show, and I cannot wait to continue watching where you go with this show and the guests that you have.
Be with us again next week on the Biz Communication Show. I'm your host, Bill Lampton.